celebrities get starstruck. No amount of fame, wealth, or status can protect you from losing all composure when you face the person you've been obsessing over for years. Yet it was Keke Palmer who completely lost it when her longtime crush, Michael Ealy, walked onto the set in the middle of her interview.
If you follow me on Twitter, you definitely know my number one crush is Michael. Yo. Honestly, Michael Ealy is so fine. I have to just take a nap on him sometimes, but he is too fine. Blue-eyed baby.
What'd you say?
Oh my God.
Have you ever met someone you admire so much that you completely lose your cool? Even the biggest celebrities in the world are not immune to this feeling. When they come face to face with their own idols and crushes, they turn into nervous, blushing, stammering fans just like the rest of us. From awkward silences to happy tears, these moments remind us that fame does not make anyone immune to the butterflies that come with meeting someone special. Here are some of the most unforgettable celebrity crush encounters ever caught on camera. Before we dive in, if you enjoy content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos. We post fun, feel-good content just like this all the time, and we would love to have you as part of our community. Now, let's get into it. Emilia Clarke is known for being one of the most confident actresses in Hollywood, but all of that confidence went straight out the window the moment she found herself sitting right next to Matt LeBlanc. The woman who played one of the most powerful queens on television suddenly turned into a complete nervous wreck. She was blushing, barely able to string a sentence together, and could hardly look him in the eye. When asked if she had managed to talk to him, her answer was a very unconvincing, yeah, kind of, maybe, followed by laughter from everyone around her. It was clear that Emilia was absolutely starstruck. She eventually told Matt directly that she thought he was wicked, her face turning even more red as she said it. But to her credit, she did manage to pull herself together just enough to make one special request. She asked Matt if he would say Joey Tribbiani's most iconic line from Friends. Matt, being the good sport that he is, looked at her and said the three magic words, "How you doing?" Emilia's reaction was pure joy. She confirmed that she caught it and that it absolutely worked. Sometimes all you need is 3 words from your favorite TV character to make your day complete. Fresh off her very first Oscar win, Jennifer Lawrence was on top of the world. She had just achieved one of the biggest milestones of her career and was riding a wave of excitement and emotion. But then, something completely unexpected happened. Hollywood legend Jack Nicholson ambushed her right after the ceremony, and Jennifer Lawrence, one of the sharpest and funniest people in the industry, completely lost her composure. The two of them started flirting almost instantly, and it was both hilarious and adorable to watch. Jack was charming and playful as always, while Jennifer was visibly flustered in a way that she rarely is. She laughed, she stumbled over her words, and at one point she looked around as if checking whether this was all really happening. Jack even joked about whether he looked like a new girlfriend, which sent everyone nearby into fits of laughter. Jennifer's reaction said it all. Even the most confident, award-winning stars can be completely undone by the right person at the right moment. Then there is Adele, who openly admitted on television that she had a massive crush on Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or as she pointed out, he goes by Johnson now. Adele talked about how she had been a huge wrestling fan growing up, which was the origin of her admiration for him. She even mentioned that he had sent her flowers when he and his wife could not make it to one of her shows, and that gesture had literally knocked her off her chair. So when The Rock surprised her at the 2023 Grammy Awards, the look on Adele's face was absolutely priceless. She looked like a fan who had just won the lottery. The host introduced them to each other on stage, saying that The Rock was also a huge fan of hers, and the two finally met in front of a cheering crowd. It was one of those feel-good moments where two genuinely lovely people who admire each other get to share a real, joyful encounter in front of the whole world. Kristen Bell has never been shy about expressing her admiration for Jason Momoa. She's talked about him in interviews and made it very clear that she's a fan. but knowing that you have a crush on someone and actually being in their presence are two very different things. The moment Jason put his hands on her during their meeting, Kristen completely short-circuited. She could barely keep it together, stumbling over her words and looking completely overwhelmed. She even said out loud, "I'm in his web," which is honestly one of the most relatable things any celebrity has ever said. Jack, for his part, was genuinely touched and said it was an honor to have someone like Kristen admire him. But no matter how kind he was about it, Kristen was simply not capable of functioning normally in that moment. She was too deep in the web. Sandra Bullock is another star who has been very open about her appreciation for Channing Tatum. During one memorable interview, Channing recalled spotting Sandra at an awards show and having a bit of a fan moment himself. But Sandra quickly took over the conversation by bringing up Magic Mike, the film that made Channing Tatum a different kind of star altogether. The audience immediately burst into cheers, and Sandra enthusiastically agreed that her reaction upon watching that film was a very much an "oh my god" moment, just in a slightly different way than usual. The whole exchange was funny, charming, and refreshingly honest. Sandra Bullock is a Hollywood icon, but she's also a human being who can appreciate a great performance, in more ways than one.
Not every celebrity crush encounter goes smoothly, though. When Kesha finally had the chance to meet Jerry Seinfeld, things went in a direction nobody quite expected. Kesha, full of excitement and warmth, told Jerry that she loved him and asked if she could give him a hug. Jerry politely but firmly declined. She asked again, he declined again. She tried one more time, suggesting maybe just a small one, and once again he said no thanks. The whole thing was captured on camera and became one of the most talked about celebrity moments in recent years. Jerry later admitted he had no idea who she was, which made the whole situation even more awkward in hindsight. Kesha handled it with good humor, but it was undeniably a painful moment. Not every crush story has a fairy tale ending, and this one was a reminder that not everyone is going to match your energy, no matter how famous you are. Pink has had a long-time thing for Johnny Depp, and she was not exactly hiding it during a television interview. When the host started asking her about whether she knew Johnny personally, Pink got a little cagey, saying only that she had dodged that particular situation and that she could not really talk about it. The host read between the lines immediately and called her out on having a crush, which Pink did not deny. The audience was already loving it. Then, in a classic talk show ambush move, the host brought Johnny Depp out in the middle of the interview without any warning. Pink completely froze. She could not look at him, she could not speak normally, she just kind of sat there trying to process the fact that the person she had been gushing about seconds earlier was now standing right in front of her. It was one of those moments where you feel genuinely secondhand embarrassed for someone, but in the most endearing way possible. Billie Eilish has spoken many times about her childhood obsession with Justin Bieber. This was not just a casual admiration. She has described it as her first real love, the kind where you build an entire imaginary relationship in your head with someone you have never met. She was completely devoted to him as a young fan, and those feelings clearly ran very deep. So when the two of them finally came face-to-face at Coachella in 2019, it was always going to be an emotional moment. And emotional it certainly was. Billie was positively overwhelmed in the best possible way. The moment captured on camera showed just how much that encounter meant to her, and it was the kind of thing that reminded everyone watching of what it felt like to be young and completely devoted to someone you idolized. Sebastian Stan took a very different approach when he finally got the chance to meet Sharon Stone, his longtime celebrity crush. Rather than turning into a blushing mess, Sebastian decided to simply go for it. He told her he had been meaning to say something for about 15 years, that he felt like he had known her his whole life, and that she looked incredible in person. Sharon immediately burst out laughing and called him out for fully going for it, clearly delighted by his confidence. The two of them then proceeded to flirt openly on camera, with Sharon asking how one would ask her on a date in Romania, and Sebastian responding in the most charming way possible. At one point, Sharon even told him he was pretty cute, which caused the very same Sebastian Stan who had been so cool and confident to immediately go red in the face. The cockiness lasted right up until the compliment came back his way, and then he turned into everyone else.
Ariana Grande's childhood celebrity crush was Jim Carrey, and she was not subtle about it. Her old screen name on AIM, the messaging platform everyone used in the early 2000s, was literally Jim Carrey Fan 42. She is described loving him deeply as a child and being completely devoted to his work. So when she finally got to meet him in person, the emotions were simply too much to contain. She was practically hyperventilating before he even came out, and when he appeared and said hello to her, she started crying immediately. Jim, to his absolute credit, was incredibly kind and gentle about the whole thing, and the moment the two of them embraced was genuinely touching. It was the kind of meeting that meant something real, not just a quick handshake and a photo, but a genuine emotional experience for someone who had grown up loving this person's work. Selena Gomez had a very different kind of reaction when she met her celebrity crush, Shia LaBeouf. Rather than crying or freezing or losing her words, Selena literally turned and ran away. When they were introduced, she managed a few polite hellos and thank yous, kept apologizing for bothering him, and then essentially fled the scene as quickly as she could. It was the most flight response reaction to meeting a crush that anyone has ever witnessed, and it was oddly very relatable. Sometimes the only way to survive a moment that overwhelming is to simply remove yourself from it entirely.
Actress Ali Mishalka was very public about having a crush on Conan O'Brien, and her tweets on the subject had come to the attention of his production team, so naturally, Conan brought them up during her interview, and they went through them together on air. Ali had tweeted about whether it was weird that her celebrity crush was 100% Conan O'Brien, adding several crying and sweating emojis for good measure. Conan pointed out that the emojis alone were a sign of something very genuine, but the conversation took a funny turn when it became clear that Ali had somewhat confused Conan with Ben Affleck, describing her crush as tall, dark, and handsome. Conan, who was famously very pale, took great delight in pointing out that he was quite possibly the least dark person on the entire planet, which made the whole thing even funnier. Emma Stone's first Oscar win was already one of the most memorable moments of her career, but it became even more surreal when she discovered that the person presenting her with the award was Leonardo DiCaprio, her childhood crush. She had spoken before about having a signed photo of him in her bedroom when she was 12 years old, so walking up to receive her Oscar from him was almost too much to process. She described it as the most surreal moment of her life, and looking at the footage, it is easy to understand why. The universe had decided to make her biggest professional achievement and her childhood dream collide at exactly the same moment, and the result was genuinely magical. Finally, actor Yahya Abdul-Mateen II did not waste a single second when he came face-to-face with Julia Roberts. He told her on live television that she was his very first human crush, specifying human because, as he explained, Jessica Rabbit had technically come before her. He was 5 years old when he fell for her as Tinkerbell, and he wanted her to know it. Julia was a wonderful sport about the whole thing, laughing and being genuinely touched, though she did pause to note that she was a little stuck on the word human. It was the perfect celebrity crush confession, delivered with humor, sincerity, and absolutely no hesitation. These moments are proof that no matter how famous, successful, or composed someone might be, a genuine crush has the power to reduce anyone to their most human self. Stars really are just like us, just with better cameras pointed at them when it happens.